go. Awesome. Okay, we will call this meeting to order. The gavel does scare me a little bit, so we're not going to use that today. Bear with me while I run this in Mike's absence. So, I think roll call went around. We are all good there. First item is to review and approve the agenda. Looking for a motion to approve.
So move, Jaeger.
Second, Erickson.
Great. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Same sign, opposed. I think that's what I say. Great. That carries. And then looking for an approval of the minutes, if everybody had some time to read through.
So moved, Ursula.
Great.
Second, Jaeger.
Awesome. Any opposed? Oh, sorry. Any comments? No? Great. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Great. Any opposed? Motion carries. Awesome. Okay. Great. Now we're on to unfinished business. Page 7. Eric, that is you, sir.
It is, Madam Chair. Thank you. That memo is up on the screen in front of you, also on page 7 of your packet. Just as we try to do every quarter to get our strategic goals updated, we've got that in front of you as well. As always, it's always helpful to get staff feedback, to give staff feedback and any guidance that the board may have as we look at any mid-year priority adjustments. As we work towards fulfilling these goals, continue to guide staff for the next 3 months. You'll note on the screen up there, we have removed Gustafson Park, as we've talked about at previous meetings. Gustafson Park is no longer available for potential development, as the City Council has reanalyzed to I guess, make that parkland or dedicate that to parkland, or that is the intention of them doing that. So we have taken that off as an initiative. You'll see that I have updated some of the notes that will go through a couple items into the future here about the Wright Street extension and what we're working on towards that. Again, we are looking to potentially purchase some parcels of land. One of those would be Wright Street. We are looking throughout the city, as well as other properties that are for sale through private entities or even scattered site replacements. So those are priorities that we're trying to work towards this year to get some projects in the ground and kind of moving forward. So that is our one of our high priorities, obviously, as well with retention of staff and training of staff and retention. So if anyone has any questions on those specific goals, I'd be happy to work through that. If not, just for information only.
Questions of staff? Okay. Do you have anything that, any other highlights, anything staff would like us to make note of, comment on, or?
Yeah, again, just kind of as we get through the meeting, we'll talk a little bit deeper on Wright Street. I will be asking for some board action to let us move forward with some negotiations on purchase of that land with the city as we work with the EDA, with their realtor, and with the city of Brainerd. So more to come in a couple items.
That sounds good. If there are no comments, we will move on to fund? No.
Yes.
Yes, fund balance.
Yes, item 6A.
2.
I will, since Karen is out today. That memo is up on page 13. This is something that we do on a yearly basis, typically in March, after we've had a chance to close out the books for the previous year and get those numbers to our audit. Again, the fund balance that we're talking about here today, number 1, is what we use to get into the presentation for the audit. That's what we will present to our auditors for inclusion in their final audit prep that will hopefully come either in April or in May to us. And in history, or kind of the previous years, really the intent of that fund balance policy that we have is to define really the classifications that we have based on the constraints placed on the use through GASB, and that's the general accounting standards. That we've got really 5 different breakouts of our fund balance. One is non-spendable, the other is restricted, committed, assigned, and unassigned. To refresh your memory, our fund balance policy does recommend 8 to 10 months of expenses in unassigned fund balance. Following amounts that are committed and assigned funds would result in an unassigned fund balance of approximately 8 months. You'll see that we break out. These are funds that are available to and that are committed. As you remember, or hopefully you remember, we've got a bucket of money that we use for housing rehab that is usually or typically money from the Small Cities program. MHFA loans that we get for admin fee, small cities is admin fee, and then we do get a portion of our Crow Wing County management fee that goes into that housing rehab bucket that does help fund portions of Britt's time and portions of John's time as well. So that's really what those dollars are reserved for and are committed for on a yearly basis. We do have level contracting down there for Outlots E and F. Those are committed funds. As you'll recall, we entered into a grant agreement with level contracting to develop that Outlots E and F, and that $150,000 is specifically for the infrastructure needed for that. We do anticipate that will get underway this spring. I know John's been reaching out to Monty and seeing when we're going to get going, and I do believe on the Crow Wing County HRA side, we're going to be trying to convey or sell those lots to level contracting at our April meeting. So we'll be moving forward with that. So we expect those dollars to be expended sooner rather than later. That next item is an assigned fund. We've labeled it as Trail Ridge Housing Replacement. As you'll recall, back in 2025, Trail Ridge, which was a 20-unit condo complex that we co-owned with a developer that was developed as low-income housing. At the time, they actually ended up selling that property last year, so that $233,000 and change are directly funds from that sale, which we would like to use to replace housing units on the affordable side, which we would hopefully get board approval to utilize for Central Minnesota Housing's project. If we get to that point with a partnership agreement, would be utilized as leverage in a partnership agreement, so we can hopefully, number one, replace those affordable housing units and actually increase the housing units that we were losing from Trail Ridge. And then also have a small or nominal income stream that comes off of that, just like we did for Trail Ridge. So we have kind of bucketed those funds specifically for housing replacement. The board certainly can choose to do whatever they would like with that, but from a staff perspective, that's what we're hoping to do, to use that for leverage in a agreement that we could hopefully go forward with Central Minnesota Housing. And then that last group, that assigned funds, is just for that housing and redevelopment. You'll hopefully recall that that's the bucket that we really say the board can use at their discretion on a year-to-year basis for projects. So scattered site replacements, purchasing of land on the market. We could use housing studies or purchase housing studies with those funds. Those are really those dollars that we would reserve on a yearly basis for the board to use. So those are really those four buckets of what we've got on the fund balance that are available. If we take those dollars out, then we've also got that 8 months of balance there for our unassigned, which equates to about $500,000. It's $498,672 is about 8 months worth. So each month it's about $62,300. If we look at just that housing and redevelopment fund that we've got here, you'd have about a little bit over a month of unassigned fund balance that, if you chose to up that from 8 months to 9 months, there you go, you could do that. General accounting standards and Office of State Auditor, the OSA, standards for the state of Minnesota is 5 months of fund balance. The reason why we go a little bit higher is just, number one, to account for the cash flow cycle and when we get our levy that comes in twice a year. And then because we can't raise our levy, it's capped at a certain amount, we prefer to see a little bit of a higher fund balance at that 8 month amount to account for any ebbs and flows in if we're going to get a larger or smaller amount of our levy that is approved through the city. So with that, kind of going through that, not as eloquently as Karen typically does, I would open that up for questions from the board.
Questions of staff? Yes.
Thank you. We've historically been right around 8 months, haven't we?
Correct.
8 to 9 months, something like that for
Yep.
the last few years? Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Any other questions of staff? Great. Looking for a motion to approve, to determine the committed and assigned fund balance amounts as specified above for 12/31/2025.
Erickson, motion to approve.
Motion a second?
I'll second.
Yeager second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Great.
All right, thank you.
All right. Great job, Eric. Moving on to Wright Street Extension. I believe this is you again.
Yes, it is, Madam Chair. At some point, I will cede talking the entire meeting, but got another couple of items that I'll run through. This memo is on page 15 and up on your screens as well. As I promised, we were going to talk a little bit more about Wright Street and that Wright Street extension property and the purchase opportunity that we have in front of us. As you know, staff have been working, kind of talking with Central Minnesota Housing Partnership on the potential of a development of a 50-unit multifamily housing project that is currently owned by the city off of Wright Street. The project that we are proposing would utilize approximately 5.5 acres on the north side of Wright Street and on the west side of Kitty Hawk with CMHP, and they have identified that they would be utilizing low-income housing tax credits to support that development. At the March 5th Brainerd EDA meeting, staff did present the concept and requested feedback regarding HRA negotiations with the city and its listing agent. The EDA was receptive and did direct staff to begin drafting a development agreement with the HRA and with Camp Realty for their review. To move that project forward, our staff is recommending pursuing the purchase of that 5.5 acres that is required for CMHP's proposed development. We would request that the city consider selling this land to the HRA at $1 per acre, plus the realtor's fees, which would be based upon an appraised value of that land, not necessarily just the estimated market value that the county puts on it, as well as any additional legal fees that would be needed to complete the transaction. As we talked about in the previous item, we do have funds available for that, really in that Trail Ridge replacement or housing replacement fund to purchase this property if we are so able to do that. Securing that site control is really a key to the scoring component for that tax credit application. That would really need to be secured by July when that application is due by CMHP. So we are trying to move this forward kind of methodically, month to month, knowing that we only have a few months before that application really is due, but knowing that site control really is a big key scoring factor to be successful for CMHP to get that funding. We've continued to have productive discussions with CMHP, and staff is recommending that we utilize proceeds from that Trail Ridge townhome sale as a funding source for the land acquisition and contribution to the project. If land control is secured, staff would negotiate or would like to negotiate a partnership structure with CMHP that could include that shared ownership model that I talked about, which would be brought back to the board for approval before we would enter into any such agreement. Preliminary site layout and building concept are attached for review on the next page. If Max can pull that up, project will require some zoning changes and a conditional use permit, but based on initial conversations with city staff, we don't anticipate any significant barriers at this stage. You can see that they are looking at some tree lines on the west side, which is what is abutting right up against the current crypto mining facility. Then they've got kind of garage stalls that would be out there directly to the east of that, and then the actual living community to the east of that, at least in the preliminary concept sketch. There is potentially developable land to the east side of Kitty Hawk, which isn't shown in this mock-up, which is fine, but that could be a potential future development of really anything from what the city would like to see there. Could certainly be more business geared buildings, or it could be potentially more housing. So what we are really looking at from the board standpoint is if you are comfortable with us working and producing a draft purchase and development agreement for your review and for this, obviously the EDA and the city's review to purchase that 5.5 acres of city-owned land for that housing development, and then further direct staff to begin negotiations on a partnership agreement with CMHP, both of which would obviously be brought back to the board for review and approval. Would be happy to answer some questions as far as what we know currently and any other lingering questions that the board might have right now.
Great. Questions of staff? Mr. Yeager.
Yeah, thank you. Eric, at the EDA meeting, we talked a little bit about a sunset on this project. Can you just shed a little light on that? And particularly for me is, I have a secondary question to that about the zoning. And so first, if we could just talk about the sunset a little bit, and then a second question is, if we change, did you talk to James, and are we changing the zoning on just this parcel or that entire Wright Street area? And if the sunset does take place, does the zoning revert? Yeah, so that's all.
Yeah, so great question. Thank you, Commissioner Yeager. So we did specifically talk about that with the EDA, making sure that there was a sunset date, because if we are going to be purchasing this land from the city, we don't want to hold it in perpetuity if we're not going to see any, shovel in the ground to actually produce these housing units. We had talked about, I believe, a 24 to 36 month window. When I spoke with James and with Camp Realty last week, they reiterated that that was that 24-month kind of timeline to get an approval for the tax credit project, and that would really give us 2 cycles. They're available every year, starting in July. The application period is in July. You don't typically hear until December. So if we did this at least on a 2-year with maybe the option to add a 3rd year to get construction going, I think that was where we started off with the city and with Camp Realty. So again, we want to be good stewards from the HRA side of things. If we are going to purchase this land, we want that opportunity for that land to go back to the city. We don't want to hold up this land if something else could be developed on that. That would entail us losing our investment, but that's also why we would be asking to sell that at $1 per acre. And that would be the impetus for that. The other EDA-owned property, or it's all city-owned property, but controlled through the EDA, that has the ability to be sold at $1 an acre, typically for that commercial or industrial purpose, because it's adding jobs. We've approached at least city staff to see if they believe that the EDA and the city council would be receptive to the request, and they do believe that because you'd be adding housing units, that they would be receptive to the question. Again, there's nothing that says that the EDA nor the council would have to adhere to that, but that is what the request would be at this point. Second part of your question, the zoning. So James, we would be rezoning just the 5.5 acres to begin with. We did not touch on if it would revert back. That will certainly something that I'll ask James as well. The intent obviously is, if we're not getting housing put on there, that I think the intent would be that it goes back to its original zoning, but that is something I'll have to just ask him.
Thank you. And just one other question. Do we know what the rough number for the realtor and legal is?
So the realtor would be based off of, I believe, 6.5% of what the appraised value comes in at.
Right.
I could give you an off the cuff. I'm thinking maybe 200,000 is what it would be valued at, so about 6.5% of that. Typically legal, just in our other PDAs that we've worked with, I would say upwards of right around 5,000. Is that fair, John? Or under? So I would hope that we would cap that out at 15 to 20.
Right.
Would be the estimate.
So if we move forward with this, that's coming out of our pocket,
It would.
correct? And if it reverts back, we don't get the money back, correct?
That's
So there's some risk here for sure. For us. That's all. Thank you.
Any other questions of the staff? Great. Do you want this in 2 separate, 1 bulk?
If you wanted to do 2 separate, that might be the cleanest.
Feels like it. Feels like there's 2 questions here.
Yep, allow
kind
us
of.
to at least start negotiations on a purchase and development agreement on the 5.5 acres, and then secondarily work with CMHP to see what a draft of a partnership agreement would look like.
Yep, let's start with that first one. So looking for a motion to approve to direct staff to work with the city to draft a purchase and development agreement for the acquisition of the acres owned by the city for housing development.
Erickson moves the motion to approve.
Great. A second?
Second, Ursula.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Great. Then we'll do that second part there. Then allow direct staff to begin negotiations and a partnership agreement with CMHP. Thank you. And bring that back to us prior to any approval as well.
So moved, Ursula.
Great. Second?
Second, Yeager.
Awesome. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great. Motion passes.
All right,
Great.
thank you.
So we got both of those done. That's the right street. What are we at? The financial report. Do you get this last one and then you get to take a break?
That is correct, Madam Chair.
Great. Awesome. Go for it.
Financial report, as I mentioned, that Karen's out today. Her financial report is on page 17 as far as the memo. And on the following pages, a couple of updates. So as you see, we don't have Mary Reedy here yet. She's still working on finalizing the audit. We do have some, unfortunate news is what I would call that from the preliminary audit. We got the draft audit back for review, and it did identify a material weakness in internal control over compliance for our HCV program. Program requirements mandate that rent reasonableness determinations are supported by current market data for non-assisted comparable units. During testing, it was determined that we had outdated rental comparison data, and that was utilized and sometimes relied upon, or sometimes we relied upon assisted units rather than non-assisted comparable units. Recommended that we update our rent reasonableness procedures to ensure compliance, and then Mary Reedy will be at an upcoming meeting to present that Brainerd HRA audit. I want to pause there and just go into a little bit more in depth about this. Rent reasonableness is a portion of our HCV program where basically we go out and we get comparable units that are not on any sort of assistance, so not HCV units, and we make sure that they're comparable in size, stature of units that our tenants are renting on the marketplace. And the idea behind rent reasonableness is to make sure that we are not entering into HAP contracts with units that really are out of whack with where the market's at. Rent reasonableness is really something that we should always have, compliance on, as far as we shouldn't fail it. Because we control what the units are. In this particular instance, we found that we had outdated over 12-month-old comparables. With the switch to the new software, we were able to pick that up and realize that was happening. We did report that to our auditors. That's not something that they are necessarily going to pick up on because they don't know HUD regs in and out. And so we self-reported it. At that point, it was too late in the cycle to be able to go back and get correct comparables. Obviously, the corrective action plan that we've installed is to get our software update merged with this to make sure we've got all updated comparables and make sure that we're doing that going forward. But it was a blind spot that we had. We had to obviously self-report that. It's a bummer because we do pride ourselves on not having any material findings in our audit, but they do happen. We embrace it as far as making sure we take the corrective action and we move forward with it. Just another kind of note as well, this is not, we look at it as a really, really big issue, and any audit issue is a big issue, but programmatically, this is about looking at the finer points of what you're doing in your program and making sure that you're actually getting correct, validated, updated numbers. That's where we missed. It's not that we weren't doing rent reasonableness. We were using dated material. With that, I would ask for any questions if anyone has any on that. And if not, I can keep going through Karen's report.
Staff at this point? Yeah.
Do we have any penalties or suffrage?
Not that we know of at this point. We do report that on CMAP to HUD, and we've reported our CMAP for the year.
Okay.
And we haven't heard anything back from HUD. That doesn't mean that there won't be something that could come down. I don't anticipate it, but it's HUD.
Okay.
They may come back. It's allowable that they could come back and say you've got penalties on it, but we don't believe that's going to be the case.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other
Mr.
questions?
I just have a comment. I don't think we should look at it as a huge black mark. I think that's why we do audits, is to make sure that our P's and Q's are in order. And so I don't think you should take it personally, I think it's a positive. So that's it.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Continue, please.
Okay, just moving on. As we know, it's audit season as well. Crow Wing County and Brainerd South audits, or the Crow Wing County HRA audit and the Brainerd South compilation have all been completed, so they're out. I believe we did get drafts of both of those back. No findings in either of those agencies, so we appreciate that, and we're happy about that. Last item there, high-tech construction payment. In February, we processed the fourth payment for North Star, the office remodel project, to high tech in that $19,751 amount. Funds were drawn out of our 2025 capital fund grant. Total contract amount for that project is just under $140,000. Nothing jumped out to me on any of the ratios. Account balances are there for your review. We've got our typical bar graphs followed with our financials for the month.
Great. Any additional questions of staff?
Do we need a motion to approve the payment to High Tech?
Yeah, we'll do payments as presented.
Yeah, just payments as presented.
Yep. Anything else? No, looking for that motion to approve payments as presented, please.
So move, Jaeger.
A second?
Ursula.
Great. Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then post? No post. Nope, great, motion carries. All right, we are on. Mallory, you get to talk now.
Thank you,
I'll let
Madam
you take it
Chair.
away.
We'll give Eric a break for a minute.
Yeah.
I'm gonna move right along to the bring it home section. Seeing as the HCV section is fairly normal as usual. We did have our new staff start Monday of last week. I did ask him today, as I was leaving the office to come here, how many applications we have on our waiting list. And as of right now, we have 120. So that is fantastic. Yeah, he's been spending all of his time learning the program, learning the guidelines, interacting with the team from Minnesota Housing. So he's well on his way to hopefully being able to start notifying people. I would assume probably still a month or so for the new Bring It Home program.
Great.
Yeah. Bridges. Looks like the Bridges program is right on where it usually is. I did want to, excuse me. I did want to talk about for the FSS program. We did have a rather large payout for somebody that took home $20,000. Carrie, our staff that administers this program, wanted me to relay to the board that this individual was somebody that started on the Bridges program as a homeless individual and has worked her way up to HCV and then to FSS and is now a successful graduate.
Awesome.
Yeah. Other than that, the only new thing on the stats page is I did add a Bring It Home section. There isn't any information there yet, but there will be soon. So if anybody has any questions, feel free.
Great. Questions of staff?
Maybe only one additional item. Since the packet came out, we are still working with HUD on shortfall. So if you might recall, last year we went into shortfall, or we were in shortfall, and we ended up needing about $20,000 in shortfall funds from HUD. Towards the end of the year, then they kind of reiterated, hey, anybody that's in shortfall in 2025, we're just going to assume you're in shortfall in 2026, which I don't think is super fair, because the idea in shortfall is you're losing your vouchers to try to make up for the numbers that you need, and then so you end up really low at the end of the year, and it's really hard to get back to where you're going to go into shortfall. So our staff wouldn't have necessarily agreed to that assertion. But anyways, that's what HUD says. You're in shortfall now, so you're going to be shortfall at the beginning of the year. There were some stipulations put on that say, hey, you're not supposed to lease up unless there's some special circumstances that say, you can lease up in these certain instances. Our shortfall prevention team, or SPT as they call it, when we talked with them in August, that was the last time that we had talked with them before they went into shutdown. They had said, yep, don't lease anymore in the end of 2025 with the intention that you can lease up starting in January of 26. That's what we were under the assumption. It was in our notes. We got on our shortfall prevention team meeting earlier this week, and they said, oh, you're not supposed to be leasing anything, you're still in shortfall. We said, well, but we talked about this. We were able to start leasing in January, and they said, no, you can't. Okay, so they have instructed us to stop leasing until they can get their budget confirmed from HUD for this year, which they believe will happen sometime in April. After a lot of back and forth with HUD, I think we're just going to agree to disagree on where things were at with the discussion and the documentation that they gave us, stating that we could lease up in January. We'll put a pause on it. We don't think the pause will be more than 5 to 6 weeks. We hope we'll be able to start leasing up again in May. But it does affect our program, and it affects the amount of vouchers that we can get back out on the street. And so we're disappointed with their finding and their discussion with us that we should not be leasing up. we'll continue to push on them a little bit as quickly as we can to get an updated meeting with them. We believe it'll be towards the end of April, so we can start leasing up again, but it's a disappointment. So on the flip side, as long as we're moving forward with Jasper, who's our new hire for that Bring It Home position, if we're continuing to move things forward there, we can start leasing those up and getting those out on the street. So it's not that we can't do things, and it was certainly an interpretive deal with HUD. We'll work with them, obviously. We always will work with them and get their guidance. But a surprise for our staff, to be sure, when they said, hey, you're not supposed to be leasing. We're like, what do you mean? So I did want to make sure that the board was aware of that, because that is certainly a change from what we had understood, and so we'll adjust accordingly. That's all I have.
Any other questions of staff? Okay, nothing there. We will move right along. Thank you, Mallory. To housing management report, which is Eric again?
I would be happy to take that for you, Madam Chair.
Alright.
That is on page 43. Hannah is still out, and so I'll be covering this for you. Not a whole lot to report here. Vacancy, we were 100% leased up for our public housing units in February, so we're always thankful for that. So January and February, both 100% leased up. We do have some occupancy in Valley View, but that is not on our public housing units. ROS program continues on. We anticipate getting a ROS coordinator position posted as soon as we get Hannah back in the office, which at this point now we're thinking sometime late April is what we're hopeful for at that. So we will look forward to that. Yeah, numbers kind of speak for themselves. I'd be happy to answer any questions that I can on the housing side of things. If not, we can move on.
Great. Questions of staff? No? That's an easy one too. We will move on then. Thank you, Eric. John, we're up to you. Rehab report.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. That report is on page 47 or up on the screen if you're following along. Our Southeast Brainerd Small Cities Grant, we are coming to the close of that later this fall, but we still have quite a few active rehabs we're pursuing. There's one owner-occupied and 3 rental rehabs, so that's good news. Britt continues to reach out, trying to get more of those units filled. We do possibly, with the current owner-occupied rehab we're working on, that fulfills our goal for the number of units of owner-occupied rehab. But she had another application she's screening. We do have funds available yet, so we can do more if we can find people who want to utilize it. So, and then our Inspire inspection. I think most board members are familiar with this. Used to be called our REACT score or REACT inspection. They've since changed how they look at that, so this is kind of a new standard, and it goes by Inspire, which are the national standards for the physical inspection of real estate. Basically, they look at things from a little different angle, more inside focused on units than common areas. So we did have that inspection went pretty well overall. We had some 24-hour deficiencies, which one of the things that changed from REACT to Inspire was GFIs had to be within 3 feet of a water source. Now that's 6 feet. So in some of our scattered units, there was one outlet that now isn't GFI protected, so they also had some doors at our North Star apartments. Those are fire rated doors. There was a door closer had been replaced on one, so there was a hole from the old closer didn't get patched. So we did get a 24-hour repair on that. And then there was one where a tenant had hung something on the door with a nail hole, so that'll have to be repaired as well. And then just a couple other smaller things on some shelving in the closets of a few of the units at North Star have a sprinkler head in the closet, and there's a shelf, and if there's anything stored on that shelf within 18 inches of the sprinkler head, that's a deficiency on our part. So we found a few units that were like that. So we haven't got the full score yet. Eric has been working diligently, and I've been trying from my angle to get access into the Inspire website, and we have not been able to. So they just did share those things that needed immediate attention. Those were addressed properly. We just need to wait to get in to get the full report on that. So, and then you can see at the bottom our current rehab projects we have going on. So Any questions for me on anything?
Questions of staff?
Just in addition on Inspire, the website that we're using to access our deficiencies and the kind of scoring, we're not the only ones having issues. As we're working with our field office in Minneapolis, they informed me or shared with me that there were eight other of their agencies that were having the same problems getting in, and they weren't the only field office that was also having issues. So growing pains as we get in through this new procedure through Inspire. And a little bit of frustration, obviously, but we're working with our folks with HUD to make sure that we can gain access to that and get the updates into the system, and then obviously get our score. So we'll I sure hope we have that by next month, but it moves at the speed that it does, and we'll keep working with it.
Great. Any other questions? All righty. Thank you, John. Okay, Eric, we've got one long thing. It looks
Yeah,
like.
one more thing. Page 49 is my memo, just up on the screen in your packets as well. Just a reminder, or kind of a heads up now, that I'm going to be working on my self-evaluation for my performance review that the board will do in preparation for the board to complete my annual performance review. I'll coordinate with Chair Duval just to get that evaluation form out to each board member, and then we've got a form that you guys typically fill out. We'll key in one of our staff to coordinate and be the collection point. Might be Britt, so I'll make sure that Chair Duval knows how that's going to work. We'll typically give you a couple of weeks to get that review back. We don't want it to be too long of a timeline, because I know things just kind of get forgotten about. So we'll try to review that and get that out to you so we can get that in the packet for a formal review for you guys to do of me in April. And then we'll have the kind of highlights of that for the May packet. So just kind of an FYI, this will be the process that'll get underway here again. As I talked with Allie about this earlier today, she was surprised that it had been that long already, and it has.
Seems like it was just yesterday.
So we'll get it worked through, and looking forward to the feedback on that.
Great. Any questions of the executive?
Question
director?
about the review.
Yeah.
Is that mandated by the state or something that we do this yearly? I don't know why we're doing it again.
I mean, it's not mandated, it's just kind of best practice, is what I would say is, we look at the city administrator for the city of Brainerd or any directors for these entities. They typically have a performance review just like we do for our staff. So you don't have to, but I think it's probably best practice just to make sure if there's any direct feedback. Obviously we have feedback sessions every month, called a board meeting. But if there are other items that the board wants me to work on, the performance review really allows us to, the board, if you want to go into closed session with that and talk about any performance issues. But it's not a state mandated.
Okay,
type of
that was
thing.
my question. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, hearing none, we will enter commissioner comments here. Janet, would you like to go first today? No. Okay. Justin?
I don't have anything.
All right. Wayne?
Nothing? No?
Nothing.
Not a thing.
Kevin, I bet you have something.
I really don't. I did hear the news about the Restore closing, which is certainly sad news. My understanding is that it will not affect what they're continuing to do as far as building houses. At least that's my understanding. So did just want to mention that, and that's all I got.
All right. Well, I think that's it. I am just, I love the story every time on if people get out of the FSS program on the escrow stuff. I think that one's really great, something to definitely highlight too. So, all right, with that, I'm looking for next meeting, April 22nd here. Looking for a motion to adjourn.
So move, Jaeger.
Great.
Second, Ursula.
I thought so. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
We all are adjourned.